Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Randy here with RTS Mobile Game and bringing you a fantastic Diablo 4 video today. First off, we're talking about the Storm Wolf Druid build. I have really perfected this build over the last few days. I've been collecting gear for it for a week now, and I finally have the pieces I need. We'll talk about the gear and the abilities in a minute. Essentially, how this build works is you have crazy speed, crazy high damage. You have insane mobility because you can walk through enemies, and you basically become an unstoppable beauty that does a ton of physical tornado damage. Okay, it's great for killing elites. It works by basically turning into a Dire Werewolf instead of a Werebear. Every time you crit something, you get 10% bonus crit damage. That lasts until the end of the Dire Werewolf. This stacks, so we'll talk about how to get that damage optimized. Here we go. Get excited. Let's take a look. Alright folks, let's talk real quick about the legendary aspects and abilities that are going to make this build absolutely sing. Let's get right to it. We'll keep this super short so you don't have to sit here for a half hour. Let's rock and roll. The helmet. You must have Tempest Roar. If you don't have Tempest Roar, run another build. Okay, this is going to turn all of your storm skills into werewolf skills. Very, very key. The chest. I love this chest. The Cyclone Armor will now provide physical damage reduction. In addition, Cyclone Armor will be applied to my nearby allies. This is a big deal. Cyclone Armor at rank 2 is going to be 10.9% non-physical damage. It's now going to also be 10.9% physical damage reduction. So I'm giving this to myself and my whole nearby ally group in my party. This is going to really enhance the survivability of your group in the high-level Nightmare Dungeons, okay? Very nice for yourself, very nice for your party. Next, the gloves, okay? There's two things about these gloves I want you to note. First, they have lucky hit chance. You absolutely want lucky hit chance on your gloves because it is going to increase the proc rate on a lot of your other abilities and items that we'll talk about in a second. Next, the Earthenmite key passive now applies to my storm skills. I happen to have the Mighty Storm Primal Gauntlets with that imprinted aspect on it. It's really, really key to have that aspect on one of your pieces of equipment, okay? It doesn't have to be your gloves, but it must be on your equipment. For the legs, I happen to really like the basic skills grant damage reduction for X number of seconds. This is really, really important for the build. This build is going to be using Wind Shear to massively enhance your mobility, but what this means is you're going to lose the 25% damage mitigation that you're granted from using the Storm Strike melee ability. This is going to allow you to kite enemies around. Wind Shear will pierce the enemies. You'll hit a lot of enemies with Wind Shear. So essentially, you want to really make sure that you can get some survivability back into the build. This aspect is going to do that, okay? For the boots, there's two abilities I like to run in the boots. The first ability is the Ghost Walker, okay? So while unstoppable and for 4 seconds afterwards, you get movement speed and you can move freely through enemies. This is super duper key. This build gives you enormous amounts of movement speed. Everything about the build gives you movement speed. Even these boots, I have two types of movement speed on the boots, okay? I get movement speed after killing an elite, and I just get base movement speed. Okay, now I get even more movement speed when I'm unstoppable. Werewolf itself is going to give an enormous amount of movement speed because of the ring I'm going to show you in a minute. So essentially, being unstoppable with crazy amounts of movement speed is a lot of fun, and it keeps you alive with the squishy build. So that's really key. I also have been using a little bit of the 50% chance on hit, to spread your crowd control to nearby enemies. I found that to be a lot of fun. It's really up to you, but this unstoppable one is probably slightly better, okay? Onto the weapon. This has to be on your weapon, okay? These other abilities I've shown you can be alternated to the adjacent slots that they can be applied to. It's not a really big deal. The weapon, you must have this core skill, deals bonus damage based on your fortification, okay? The better roll, the higher roll, the better. It gets multiplied by an additional 100% when you apply it to a two-hander. So you are going to want to equip this to your two-handed weapon. If I get a better roll, it's going to dramatically increase my damage, okay? Now, you will notice I have lightning critical strike damage rolled on this weapon. That is the wrong stat. I'm trying to roll that off of the weapon, and I need 2.5 million gold to roll it again. So in the next day or two, I'll have the weapon correctly statted. It'll be dealing bonus damage on enemies who are slowed. That's what you want. You want bonus damage on crowd control or bonus damage on slow, because you're going to be slowing and crowd controlling everything, okay? for the necklace. Now, this is also something that you want to keep on the necklace, okay? The weapon and the necklace and the helmet, those aspects need to be where they are. The helmet, because it's unique and you can't move the aspect around. The weapon, so you get double the damage bonus. And the necklace, you must have this because it's going to give you an enormous amount, right? Putting it on your necklace, your amulet, gives you 50% bonus stats. This is a key part of this build. Grizzly Rage will now shape you into a Dire Werewolf instead of a Dire Werebear. It's also going to convert the damage mitigation into movement speed, okay? And it's going to give you a huge spirit cost reduction bonus. So essentially, if this was maxed out, it would be a 75% reduction of spirit cost for Tornado. Tornado costs a lot of spirit, okay? The cost right now is 44, all right? So if I can reduce that by 57% at this build, it's a dramatic reduction. It's down at like 20 spirit, okay? I'm not going to do math here on stream, but you get it, all right? Very important to put this on your necklace. The movement speed bonus and the spirit reduction are very key, okay? Ironically, if you put this on your weapon, it's something that I've actually thought about. Maybe if you guys happen to roll a bunch of extra ones, you can test it out for me. But if you put this on your weapon, in theory, it should reduce your spirit cost by 100%, right? If you get a max roll, which is pretty interesting when you think about it. It's basically unlimited damage for the duration of your Dire Werewolf. The duration of your Dire Werewolf right now with my current ring is 16.5 seconds. Every time I kill somebody, I can extend this up to 5 additional seconds. You could, in theory, have 21.5 seconds of unlimited tornadoes where you're already going to spawn a ton of them because of the low cost, but I can just imagine a world where they're free, okay? The ring. This is also key. All right, this is a very key part of the build. You must have this on the build. This is going to increase the duration of your Grizzly Rage by 1 to 5 seconds. And the most important thing is every time you critical strike with this build, it's going to give you 10% stacking critical strike damage. Can stack infinitely. So if you have 10 tornadoes on the field and they're just critting nonstop, you could be at plus several thousand crit damage, okay? I got a crit yesterday in the 300k range. That's the highest one I've done so far. Typically, my crits are anywhere from 60 to 150k, depending on how many stacks I have. All right? On my next ring, this is also absolutely key to the build. You must have this in the build. Tornadoes will seek up to 1 to 3 additional targets. This is going to make sure your tornadoes don't just go any which way. They're going to actually attack the target you drop it on, attack another target before they go random, okay? Very, very key to the build. This ring has great stats on it. It has damage to poisoned enemies. You'll be applying poison to everybody in this build. Okay, critical strike chance. Crit's really important for getting my stacks. Increased critical strike damage, very key. And then damage to slowed enemies. Additionally, this ring is essentially perfect. I wish the rolls were a little bit higher, especially on the crit end. But otherwise, this is the perfect rolled ring for this build. Okay? All right, so those are the aspects. Like I said, you can switch up the boots to get additional crowd control. You can switch up the Cyclone armor to another defensive chest bonus if you want, like the one that gives you bonus shielding or bonus shield for your HP when you damage an elite. You can get the one that gives you a stacking armor bonus, up to 40% bonus armor when you deal damage. There's really a lot of things that you can do. I happen to like the Cyclone best for the group buff, okay? Into the abilities, ladies and gents. I don't want to make this too long. Let's talk about the Spirit Boon abilities. First, we're going to go ahead and have the Wariness here under the Wolf. We're going to go ahead and have the Avian Wrath. That's the stack. We'll have Avian Wrath under the Bird. We're going to go ahead and have Calamity underneath the Wolf, and Calamity is going to extend the duration of my Werebear skill, my Dire Werewolf now. And then you're going to bond with the Snake. Okay, the Snake is going to be where I'm bonded. It is going to give me Masochistic, which is going to be an enormous amount of healing every time I use a shape-shifting skill that crits, which is more tornadoes. They will be critting non-stop. If there's a bunch of them on the field, I essentially heal 3% life all the time. It's hard to drop below half health unless you get bursted by one big hit. You can get one shot with this build, but if you don't get one shot, you'll heal to fill. You will heal to full almost immediately. All right, and then Calm Before the Storm is going to have a great chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 2 seconds. Very, very key. Any of the abilities, super duper short, guys. I want to make this too much longer. We'll get right to it. All right. First, we're going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit for the video. First, you're going to get Wind Shear. You're going to go up to the top and get Fierce Wind Shear. This is going to give you bonus movement speed and pierce the enemies, okay? It'll also apply vulnerability. Then we're going to go up here and grab Tornado. Max out your points in the Tornado. This is your main damage dealer. You're going to go ahead and grab Enhanced Tornado, and you're going to grab Primal Tornado. So essentially, your tornadoes will be applying slow to everything they hit. This is going to trigger all those bonuses on your weapon that I told you about, right? Bonuses to slowed, bonuses to crowd controlled. That's what this is, okay? So that's why you want those bonuses on your weapon, because your tornadoes will activate them automatically. You don't need a legendary aspect like the Earth builds to apply slow. All right, from there, we're going to go ahead and grab 1 point of Heart of the Wild and 3 points of Wild Impulses. This is going to increase your tornado damage by 15%. It's also going to increase the spirit cost, but you don't really care because when you are the Dire Werewolf, your spirit cost is reduced dramatically due to that aspect, okay? And then we want to put 1 point in Predatory Instincts and 3 points in Digitigrade Gate. This is going to give you fantastic movement speed. This is optional. You could, I already have more than 100% bonus movement speed when I kill an elite, okay? Movement speed is insane with this build. You could, in theory, take this 9% off and use these 4 points for something more defensive, like Cyclone Armor. If you want to give a big bonus to your group, you could do it, okay? All right, from there, we're going to move down to the defensive skills. You are going to want 2 skills here. First, you're going to want Cyclone Armor. You're going to want to grab the Enhanced Cyclone and the Preserving Cyclone. This is going to be a great damage mitigating ability. It's going to apply to your group, and when you knock somebody back, they're now going to become distant, which is going to give you a lot of damage bonuses. Okay, we'll talk about that in 1 second, but you have 2 skills in your ability tree that give bonus damage to distant and knocked back enemies, so really activate a lot of damage right there. Then you want Blood Howl. This is great. Blood Howl is going to give you bonus HP. It's going to be a great heal. It's going to give you bonus attack speed, causing you to do more damage and attack faster. Okay, it's going to go ahead and reduce the cooldown of Blood Howl every time you kill something. You could be activating this every 3 seconds when you're in combat. I mean, it's crazy. The amount of kills you can get, especially in a large group, you can almost spam this non-stop if you want. So as long as you spam it every 4 seconds, you keep that attack speed bonus for the whole fight. Then you want to go ahead and put all 6 points, okay? Max out Ancestral Fortitude, max out Vigilance. Like I just said, you will be spamming Blood Howl and Cyclone cooldown on cooldown. As soon as they're off cooldown, you're going to pop them, okay? So you will basically have uptime when you're fighting as your Dire Werebear / Werewolf. It's Dire Werewolf. You will have Vigilance active the whole fight. Great damage mitigation, all right? Next, you want 3 points in Nature's Reach. This is going to double if the enemy has been slowed, stunned, knocked back, or immobilized. So when you knock them back with Cyclone Armor, they'll be getting the double bonus from this. And when they're slowed, which already happens because of your tornadoes, they will be getting 18% bonus damage. Really, really key, okay? By knocking them back, you will push them into the distant range, which will activate the skill. If they are in melee close range, you will not get the damage bonus from Nature's Reach. You must be distant. Excuse me, oh my goodness. Hurricane is the next key part of this build, okay? I actually have it 5 out of 5 just because I have 4 points for my armor. 1 point's fine. It is a decent damage dealer. It can clear trash on Torment 4 level, right? Enhanced Hurricane is going to give you slow to everybody, which you don't necessarily need because your tornadoes slow everything, but it's nice to have more slows. And then Savage Hurricane is going to cause the enemies to deal less damage. All right? Next, we're going to want to go ahead and grab Elemental Exposure. This is going to cause my Storm skills to have a 10% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. This is key because now all of my Werewolf skills and my Storm skills will all apply this, since all of my Werewolf skills are now Storm skills, okay? So, everything can apply that. It's amazing. Next, we're going to drop down and put 1 point in Neurotoxin, okay? This is going to be additional slow, but really you want to grab the Toxic Claws with 1 point. This is going to poison all the enemies for 4 seconds. This poison is going to do a lot of things. It's going to activate the bonus damage to poison to enemies from my multiple items that have the bonus on it. It's going to go ahead and give you bonus crit damage when the enemy's poisoned due to Envenom. Poison is really, really nice with this build. From there, we're going to go ahead and make sure you grab the Grizzly Rage skill. This is key. This is going to cause you to be an unstoppable Dire Werewolf because of your ring aspect. Okay, go ahead and max that out. Going to give you a lot of fortification and make you unstoppable, which is amazing. So you basically have more than 20 seconds where you can't be crowd controlled. You can walk through enemies. You're moving at 100% bonus speed. It's insane, okay? Defiance. Nature skills, storm skills. This is your tornadoes, okay? Circle of life. Every time you cast a skill that consumes spirit, you heal for 3% of your maximum life. You'll be spamming tornadoes left and right. This is the great sustainability skill. Natural disaster is great as well. This will cause you to deal bonus damage to enemies who are stunned, immobilized, or knocked back. So when you do knock back someone with the cyclone armor, not only do you cause them to be distant, giving you 18% bonus damage, you add another 12% bonus damage onto it because of natural disaster, okay? So when you do knock somebody back with cyclone armor, it's a 30% damage bonus. Really, really nice. And finally, the Earthenmite skill. This is going to be really, really key because of the aspect on my gloves. Storm skills will now trigger, okay, Earthenmite. Lucky hit, I have bonus lucky hit on my gloves, okay? I now have a almost 15% chance to trigger, oh my goodness. I have a fantastic chance to trigger restoration of all my spirit and giving me bonus critical strike for woo! Bonus critical strike chance for 5 seconds. Wow, I've been talking a lot. All right, in addition to that, the chance is increased to 10% based on my critical strikes and 10% if the target is immobilized, okay? So, if they've been, stunned, knocked back, or immobilized. So, now, Cyclone Armor again, I'm knocking them back. I'm now triggering 10% for that. I could be triggering 10% if I get a critical strike. On top of the 5%, you should be activating Earthenmite 2 to 3 times every time you're in Grizzly Rage, if not more, okay? So you may end up with guaranteed critical strikes for the duration of your Earthen Rage, as long as your Earthenmite, as long as you're able to activate it, okay? So, Paragon, I don't want to get too much in Paragon. There's still so many unknowns about Paragon. Obviously, you're going to go for physical damage because tornadoes are physical, okay? If you can see right here, they deal physical damage down here at the bottom. Extremely key. These do not do lightning damage. Like I said, I'm trying to roll lightning damage off of my weapon and lightning damage off of one of my rings. Pretty soon I'll have that off. It'll be great. So, like and sub if this video has helped you out, folks. I love you long time. Randy out, baby. Happy Friday.